Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're doing amazing. We got toldinstone today. This is the Lighthouse of Alexandria, the tallest ancient tower. I'm Shields. This is what we do. We do reactions to history videos. We talk about history. So today, we're going to talk about one of the most popular topics of the ancient world, which is the Lighthouse of Alexandria, which is kind of like we talk about the Lighthouse of Alexandria, but it's kind of like shadowed for the most part by the Library of Alexandria, obviously the post-Hellenistic city of Egypt that pretty much was the point of rule for the Ptolemaic dynasty, and then to this day still exists. So let's jump right in.
Before the rise of Rome, Alexandria was the classical world's greatest city. Founded by Alexander the Great, where the mouths of the Nile met the Mediterranean, it became the capital of the richest Hellenistic kingdom. Its population swelled to 500,000. Greeks, Egyptians, Jews, and merchants from every corner of the known world.
That's a very good point. Merchants, and then not only merchants, but like thinkers. It becomes, especially the library and bunch. It becomes a hotspot for scholars.
From Rome and beyond, tourists flocked to the city. Only scholars were granted access to the library, and only dignitaries could peer into Alexander's sarcophagus. But
Yeah, and there's Augustus right there. I believe that's Augustus paying tribute. Right? That's got to be Augustus. No, that can't be Augustus because that's not Augustus. I don't know, what is that painting of? Because that's Roman armor, right? I don't know. I'm not gonna assume because why would he be laid out like that and not covered up in like a sarcophagus? I don't know.
anyone could see the city's greatest wonder. It soared over the flat rooftops and level coast, so tall that ships 30 miles offshore could follow the glow of its beacons. The Lighthouse of Alexandria. Alexandria had two harbors, divided by a causeway that joined the mainland to the low limestone island known as Pharos. The lighthouse stood on that island and was often known by its name. Such was its fame that Pharos, like mausoleum, became a generic term. The French and Italian words for lighthouse, phare and faro, derive from it.
Very cool. So obviously right there you get that huge bay harbor. Trying to distinguish where the causeway would be. I guess like that middle part just thickened over time. But obviously you can easily tell where the lighthouse would have been right here.
The lighthouse was built during the reigns of the first two Ptolemies, though it seems to have been at least partially financed by a wealthy courtier named Sostratos of Cnidos. Construction reportedly cost 800 talents, about 46,000 pounds of silver. The appearance of the lighthouse is known from a series of smaller replicas, most notably the Roman lighthouse at A Coruña, Spain, and a Hellenistic tomb in Taposiris Magna,
Interesting.
Egypt, and from literally thousands of artistic representations, ranging
I really like that bottom left one.
from Roman coins issued at Alexandria
Oh,
to a painted glass found at Bagram, Afghanistan. From this evidence, it seems clear that the Pharos had three tiers: a square base, an octagonal middle section, and a cylindrical tower. A ramp or staircase spiraled through the structure's center, leading up past storage rooms and dormitories to the
dormitories. That's different. I didn't know that.
beacon at its top. The nature of that beacon is unclear. It may have been an open flame built on the roof of the tower, or perhaps it was sheltered by the colonnaded belfry that appears on some coins, surmounted by a colossal statue of Zeus Soter. The light of the flames may have been amplified by burnished bronze mirrors, or even replaced by mirrors during the day. Whatever the exact arrangement, scholars agree that the beacon was about 350 feet above the sea. Among all the buildings in the classical world, only the pyramids were taller. We'll discuss the fate of the lighthouse and the recent rediscovery of its remains after a brief word about this video's sponsor, Huel. I like the smooth production hot and applied topic. The Lighthouse of Alexandria remained in use for well over a millennium. It survived the civil wars and conflagrations
That's impressive by itself.
that obliterated the tomb of Alexander and destroyed every book in the Great Library. It outlasted the earthquake of 365, when a tsunami roared over the harbors, smashing ships into gardens and palaces.
Wow.
It endured as the Roman Empire crumbled and Alexandria dwindled into a shadow of its former self. An earthquake in 956 brought about the collapse of the lighthouse's highest cylindrical stage. More damage occurred during the earthquakes of 1261 and 1303. By 1329, when Ibn Battuta first visited Alexandria, only the square base survived. When he returned 17 years later, even the base had become too dangerous to enter.
Did they just not care to restore it?
The final destruction came in the 15th century, when the Mamluk Sultan Kait Bey used the ruins of the lighthouse to build the fort that still dominates Alexandria's harbor. The keep of Kait Bey's citadel stands on the foundations of the Pharos.
That's really interesting. That is really interesting, though, that they repurposed it.
Stones from the lighthouse, like the huge granite blocks that frame the citadel's main door and the
Whoa.
entrance of its mosque, were built into the walls.
Love that.
Much more of the Pharos lies beneath the surface of Alexandria's harbor, hurled there by medieval earthquakes.
And that harbor alone, this is going to sound grim, but there's probably a ton of just bodies that have decomposed in that soil, in that sand below that harbor right there. A ton. And I'm talking like over the last 3,000 years. Like, can you just imagine this? Sea peoples could have landed here. Like, that's how crazy this area is.
1961, an archaeologist convinced the Egyptian Navy to raise a colossal statue of Isis from the seabed. Although subsequent dives revealed more sculptures, no further work was done until 1994, when Jean-Yves Empereur began to survey the harbor. All around Kait Bey, Empereur found a huge debris field, which covered more than 5 acres of seabed.
Wow.
Here, up to 30 feet below the surface, were about 5,000 of the limestone blocks that had formed the walls of the lighthouse. Among them were the granite
Unbelievable. This is unbelievable just to witness all this. Wow.
monoliths, weighing up to 75 tons, that had served as lintels and door jambs. Empereur and his colleagues also discovered columns, obelisks, and more than 24 sphinxes, all taken from pharaonic temples centuries older than the lighthouse itself.
Put these things in museums.
Perhaps the most remarkable finds were 2 enormous granite statues, each 40 feet tall, of a Ptolemaic king in the guise of a pharaoh and a Ptolemaic queen as Isis. Fragments of 4 more colossi, apparently representing other Ptolemaic royals, have come to light. They seem to have stood like guardians at the lighthouse's base,
Like gargoyles, probably.
looming over a sculpture garden of sphinxes and obelisks. The work of recovering relics from the seabed continues.
Good.
Recently, 22
I'm so glad, because you usually have like 2 different like mindsets, maybe even 3. You have like the middle, I don't care. Then you have like this, where you're like, let's go get as much as we can. Let's preserve, let's learn, let's educate. And then there's like that mindset where it's just despicable, where it's like, yeah, who cares? No. You need authority to go do this. You need this and this and this. Ugh. I'm glad that they are the former and not the latter, because this is just amazing to see.
huge blocks were hauled up from the harbor to help researchers create a digital twin of the lighthouse. If this project succeeds, the Lighthouse of Alexandria may, after 7 centuries, rise again from the sea. If you'd like to visit Alexandria,
That's awesome. That there is awesome. Let's go back to this image, or these images right here. This is just beautiful to me. This just makes my heart happy to see something like this. Wow. If you guys have any other context related to this or the lighthouse itself, please put down in the comments below. I welcome it. I thank you for being here with me. Until next time, peace out and bye-bye.